We're coming down the home stretch here, and all I really have left that I want to do was look at some different weapons and some different weapons delivery modes and options that the aircraft gives us. So for that I have this simple mission set up, and I'm going to tick off these weapons options one by one, starting with some more bombing techniques and then moving into the guided CVU, the Mavericks that I want to revisit, and then a couple of anti-shipping missiles. So let me get into the cockpit and I'll see you in there. I'll be right back. Now, one pause in the air, and we have the audio tone and the visual light for the RWR up and running. That's a Viggen back behind me transmitting, and it's been configured correctly all this time. I'm just going to put it out of the lights and audio mode and into the lights only mode just to save me a little editing after the fact for audio. But before, it was just a matter of range. It doesn't pick things up. And again, this is pre-release. This just might be a work in progress, but it doesn't pick up radar signals at the same range that we're used to in other aircraft. And that might be the case in the Viggen, or it might just be a work in progress. But it is functional. That's the key. Now I'm just going to hold right here and start to go through some different weapons options and start with level release for bombing. We've already seen a similar mode in CCIP. It's just basically a sub-mode of the level bombing, except whereas CCIP is done with high drag bombs, level and direct are done with low drag bombs. So it automatically selects the proper mode depending on the switch settings and the type of bomb you have loaded. So coming down to the profile we're going to fly, it's running in at low level, popping up, acquiring the target. Then we're going to get indications in the HUD that we superimpose over the target area, go trigger up, and it's going to give us a cue when to release. So this is what it's going to look like, kind of similar to what we saw with the rocket deliveries, a little different though. We can interpret this two different ways, I guess, and I'll go through the procedure, but it's run in, starting with Master Mode Nav, like I am right now. I go to Master Mode A and F, I get the target ring, telling me the estimated target position, plus the reticle. I go trigger unsafe, and then at that point the target indicator ring disappears and radar ranging is used. If all goes well, I am going to get a flashing distance indicator 2 seconds prior to release. I'm going to get the wings along with the flashing indicator at a half second. That's when I pull the trigger and hold it. It tells me that I'm going to get a steering order or a ring that I guide towards in the HUD, and it tells me the bombs will be released when the release parameters are met. I'm sure of what it says. I'm sure of how the system works. I am just fuzzy on, does it release at that point like in the other releases, or do I pull it and it releases automatically? I'm taking that to mean that I pull the trigger and it releases automatically, although it just doesn't really jive with me for some reason, and I'm just going to have to see it in action, I guess. Now, weapon selector goes to the bomb plan position, just to run through the checklist. So weapon selector to bomb plan, and it is in that setting. Sight mode selector to the desired impact spacing. I'm going to leave it in the default at 15 meters. Set altimeter pressure to the QFE setting. I'll get that here in a second. And then it's run in Master Mode A and F, trigger run safe, and then fire once I get the fire signal in the HUD, and just allow the weapons to come off the aircraft and egress at that point. So there's just a few little unknowns here that I'm going to have to see in action. I'm only going to do these once. I don't want to get bogged down on technique or bogged down here trying to figure out exactly how they work, especially in a pre-release situation like this. I don't know what's work in progress, and I don't know what the intent is behind the programming and design on a lot of this stuff, so this might not, and I would suspect that probably the final version of any of this is not going to be exactly like you see here. Okay, now before I run in, 3 things that I have just in the course of this series come up with that I'm going to do every time. Number 1, HUD glass down. I can't think of any situation at all, really, that I would want this up. I'll see if that ever comes up, but I'm just going to put it down at the beginning of a mission and leave it there. Just have that be the default. I'm also going to go and disable the target motion measurement function of the system. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to tactical and input 221 every single time, and I'll tell you why here once I do it. Okay, tactical, input 221, enter, output, back to the default actual position mode. And that's because the target motion measurement depends on you tracking a moving target along the ground with the reticle. I don't know about you, but I don't have the hand-eye coordination to do that, especially giving real-time commentary like I do every time that I fly. So I would rather just do what I'm comfortable with every time and just lead a moving target a little bit. From low level like this, rocket or gun delivery, I don't see the benefit that I personally am going to get by leaving this function enabled. So I'm going to disable it myself every time, and that'll happen before I get airborne. The other thing that I'm just going to do every time is I'll probably, in fact, start setting the QFE for the target. You know, come up with some point in the mission where it just jogs in my mind to do that every time. I just am getting that as an afterthought every single time, it seems like, on those rocket deliveries, then on the CCIP. And even right now, I think if I hadn't, you know, intended to talk about this, I wouldn't have remembered to go down there and get the QFE. But that is set. So let me go ahead and actually kick this little simple mission I have set up off. I'm going to go to Other. I'm going to push in a couple of seed aircraft to go in and take out an SA-8. Then I'm going to follow with another strike aircraft to take out the runway. That's in fact the target right there. And yeah, I am higher than I would normally be, but I assume people know this, that I'm giving commentary on these in real time as I fly, and that this is the first time that I've done any of this. So yeah, a lot of technique that you may be tempted to try to correct me on, just put yourself in my shoes and don't. I'll be right back once I'm ready to run in myself. Okay, pressing on into the target, I'm going to go ahead and push my other strike aircraft. And I have this set up just assuming that this is my wingman that I'm pushing into the area, and that this is either another flight or another element. I guess that's another point. I'm curious what the intent behind, you know, getting like a strike aircraft like this. What are we going to do about our wingmen? For example, if I come up here to engage, we can only send them against units. You know, we can't tell them to go attack a runway or to attack an installation type target or like a port or anything that I would want to set up. If they're our wingman, you have to sort of just string together a mission kind of like this, where I'm having separate flights go in to do all this stuff. I'm sure the developers have thought that through, but yeah, I just don't know what the answer is. I think they just fired some Mavericks. Okay, there's an SA-8 launch. Yeah, I think the intent might be to have an option kind of like engage mission target and rejoin, kind of like in the COP 50. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Okay, I'm in stage 3, coming up through Mach 0.7. I just want to get a good charge going here, and then I'll pull it back a little bit to coast on in once I get going. Let's go A and F. Okay, there's the reticle and the HUD. Let me put myself down a little bit. Okay, Sam's down, so I don't have to worry too much about this. Okay, there's the reticle. So we're just going to run in, pop up, and I take it to be, it doesn't really say, but I take it to be superimpose this over the target location, go trigger up, and then all the ranging and everything is going to be based off of that spot. Okay, so let's do that. Let's pop up from 100 meters. I want to do this from 200 meters. That's where it says to bomb in the book. Trigger up. I'll bump the nose down, a little high. Okay, there's the indication at the bottom. Just gotta wait for the... Okay, it's disappearing on me. Let me go ahead and pickle anyway. It warned me about that. Okay, that's on target. It warned me about that, and I'll just assume that I'm off target, staying down low. Let me go for attitude hold here. Okay, right here, the reticle may disappear below the HUD if the aircraft is in a slight climb or slightly high. In that case, the pilot will have to estimate the release point. So that's exactly what happened right there. I'll have to go back and look at this, and in real time like that, I think what happened was I just tried to bump myself back up to get back up to 200 meters, and I think by bumping my nose back up to try to get back to 200, it just disappeared under me. That was expected behavior, so I'm confident that I understand how the system works, and let me move on to the other level bombing mode. I'll be right back. Okay, this one I can knock out very, very quickly. This is just direct release. In other words, this is just if you want to, without using any of the systems, release bombs. And that starts in master mode nav, which it is right now by default. weapon selector, just make sure it's in the plan setting. That's it, where it starts. And selector dial, 15 meter spacing, I'll just stick with the default again. Now, the place where you would, I would imagine, want to use this is something like, in this case, hypothetically flying in formation with another aircraft who is using aircraft systems to get bombs on target. I would just, on signal from that aircraft, go trigger up and pickle the bombs off. That's how that would work. So that's the simplest of the modes. So that's just for like formation, bombing, and just to get rid of a lot of weight quickly if you want to just a quick and dirty way to jettison some weapons. So that's that one. Let me move on to another mode. I'll go to dive bombing next. I'll be right back. Okay, back up to look at dive bombing, and I've gone through my little 3 items that I'm just forming the habit pattern on. HUD glass is down. I've input 221 into tactical to disable the target motion measurement, and I've set the QFE for the target location 992.3. So just assume that I've done those 3 things every single time from here on out. Let me get into the manual and I'll describe this mode. I'll be right back. Okay, so we've looked at the bombing modes in the plan setting. Those are level, direct, and CCIP. Now we're going to go for the dive bombing setting, DYK. And we're going to have 2 submodes, precision and quick. Now, this is the profile. We're going to run into low level, pop up, acquire the target, and then just do this as, well, just a dive bombing delivery that you would normally do in any other aircraft. Precision mode, it's telling us, is very similar to the rockets that we've already done, and the bombs are released when the parameters are fulfilled. And quick release only uses ranging via triangulation, and target motion measurement and radar ranging are inhibited for this mode. So we'll do the precision mode first, and these are indications we'll get on the HUD. So I'll run in master mode nav like we start in by default. Once I'm ready to pop up, I'll go master mode A and F. I'm going to get the standard symbology of a ring at the estimated target location and a reticle. I'm going to roll in, place the reticle on the target. That's going to give me ranging via triangulation, and it's going to also give me radar ranging indicated by the fin right here. Once I'm satisfied, I go trigger unsafe. 2 seconds before firing range, I get the range indicator flashing. At half a second, I get the wings. That's where I pull and hold the trigger. And then I'm going to get a ring in the HUD that I need to just fly towards. Keep the reticle within the ring, in other words. And yeah, it just releases. If I get outside the ring too far, I'm going to have these poles telling me that it's just inhibiting the release and that I need to reset and try again, basically. Okay, checklist for this. Let's go to the bomb DYK position. So that's 1 little tick over. Yeah, right there. Sight mode selector at the desired impact interval. I'll stick with the standard 15 meters. That's fine for me. Okay, QFE, I already set 292.3 for the target. And then I run in. It's master mode A and F when I'm ready to pop up. Trigger unsafe when the reticle is on the target and stable. And then fire between the earliest and latest firing signal. Keep the trigger pulled. It tells me to pull up at 4G and follow the steering order. That's a new twist. I don't know how I had missed that the previous times I had read through this, but okay, we'll go with that, and I'll modify, I guess, my image of how this goes. Okay, well, let's go ahead and see this in action. Let me go ahead and push my seed flight in there again. I'll give him about 30 seconds, then push in right after him. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm pushing the other strike aircraft. One other thing, if you're curious about the Viggen special menu, that just takes us to the rearm and refuel menu. It has a test sub menu, which is, well, just a test sub menu. It doesn't do anything. And of course, CAT's rule, so that's what that's all about if you were curious, seeing that whenever the column menu is up. Okay, the seat flight's in there, doing their thing. I'm going to take it out of attitude hold and start to push on in and see if we can make this work. I'll be right back. Okay, the SE8's down. I'm just leaving it in stage 3 just to see if in this config I can punch through. I'm getting transonic. See that? My nose is coming down. That's Mach tuck. Yeah, it wasn't going to punch me through with this loadout and this weight that I'm at right now anyway. There we go. And stage 2, I think, is going to hold me right about there, about Mach 0.8. Yeah, it's iffy, but yeah, I think I'll go with that. Okay, let me just concentrate on what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm going to pick a pop-up point. I'll offset myself a little bit to the right. I'll pop up and roll in to my left. That just aids me in maintaining sight of the target as I'm doing all this stuff. If I pop straight up, then yeah, it's just an awkward visual sensation that I get right there. Okay, I'm about to pop up. Let me go A and F. Kind of made it freak out a little bit, but I'll assume that's normal. Okay, now I will go stage 3. Yeah, see what I mean? Now I can keep sight of it. Okay, let's apex, pull. I'm just going to put the reticle over my target. Once I'm steady, I'll go trigger up. Okay, trigger up. I'll wait for the firing cue. Then it's a 4G pull. Okay, weapon release, 4G pull. Weapons away. Off right. Nice. That was actually a fun mode to do it in. That's going to be my preference right there, I think. And the significance of kind of why I put that SA-8 right there, you know, just to give that as a demonstration. If they had taken the SA-8 out, I could safely pop up and release like that. If the SA-8 was still up and I was in the target, then I would be better served to go to the level release. Let me go trigger safe. I've got to make that a habit as well. Let me go back to nav. Alright, and I've got to remember in these modes, whenever I'm attacking an A and F, that I have to manually select the next steer point, which is going to be B5, about 110 kilometers in this direction and back to base. Okay, so that's precision mode dive bombing. Let me try that one more time in the, whatever the non-precision mode is called. I'll be right back.